Ooby-doo, it's everyone's favorite boomer and vintage lens enthusiast. Today, we're going to look at the Smc Pentax-A zoom 1 to 3.5, 35 to 105. It's on the Z6. That's a Nikon product, Z6. It's an outstanding, excellent combo. It's on a Photodiox Pro. It's a dumb adapter, but that doesn't mean it's stupid, that's for sure. Let's see, 3.5, oh, half f-stops, down to 22. Oh, there's a full between 22 and 16, and then all the rest are half f-stops. It goes, it's a two-touch zoom. I like two-touch zooms because you don't have to worry about zoom creep. 35, 50, 80, 105. It focuses down to 5 feet or 1.5 meters, but it has this weird macro mode where you go like this, and then you can get a little bit closer. So instead of focusing down to 5 feet, it focuses down to 4 feet. I guess that's better than nothing. And it does it throughout the whole zoom range too, where most other lenses, they make you go into a special focal length, you flip a switch, and then you're limited only to that macro mode. In the Canon, you got to go to 35 millimeters, you flip a switch, and then you could do your macro. Other companies may do it in, maybe in the tele mode, which may seem to be more practical, but that's just the way it is. So this is a constant aperture f 3.5 throughout the whole zoom range, which is good if you're using like an old this old, say it was you're zooming, some it's 3.5, 3.5, 35, but 105 maybe it goes to 4.5. So that means your exposure is going to change. But this exposure stays constant throughout the zoom range. Is this a parfocal lens? No. What does parfocal mean? That means if you focus somewhere, it's going to stay in focus throughout the zoom range. No, it doesn't do that. If you focus at 105 and go to 35, it's out of focus. And conversely, if you focus at 35 and then start zooming up, it gets out of focus. So you always have to refocus when you zoom. There's that. So when I'm on the Nikon Z6, I stick it in A mode, right? And then as I adjust the aperture and I halfway press the shutter button, it picks the shutter speed for me, which is great. And it's really accurate too. So it's a really killer combo. Now I recently did a photo shoot with the Canon 35 to 105 f3.5. And in sharpness, they're almost dead equal. It's hard to tell them apart. Where do I give the Pentax over to Canon is flare resistance. The Canon is SSC, which is super spectra coating, which is their terminology for multi-coating. But the Pentax SMC, which is super multi-coated, seems to handle flare better. Now, it handles incidental flare, like if there's something in the frame, it handles flare better. I haven't found a situation where there's a critical angle where the sun is just outside this field of view and it bounces all over. I didn't run into that. I may run into it, maybe I won't run into it. But all I could say is this is a really fine lens. It's about the same price as the Canon. I think this is a somewhat newer model. There may have been a Pentax, Smc Pentax-A, and there may have been this in a screw mount. And sometimes they keep the same optical formula and sometimes they don't. All I know is that it's a fine performer. It's all old school construction, all metal, although it has a rubber ring for focusing, but the rest is all metal, which means it weighs a lot. I mean, the Z6 is a heavy camera, so this camera, that's why I have a super wide strap, so it doesn't decapitate me while I'm walking around throughout the day. And of course, it's another one of those lenses I could recommend without hesitation. These guys knew how to make good lenses. Of course, like I said, it's all, man, you got to focus. You got to pick your exposure. Usually, I try to shoot at f8 and f11, ISO 400. Of course, in this lens, 5.6 is totally usable, and 3.5 is absolutely acceptable. It seems to be a little bit sharper at 105 than it is at 35. Well, that's just the way that rolls. But otherwise, at 16 and f22, of course, you could use them for more depth of field, but you're going to get diffraction effects. So, I say get one of these, without a doubt. Nice lens. It has Japan on it there. Well, everything's engraved. Oh, this engraved? Yeah, that's engraved. The numerals are engraved, that's engraved, everything is engraved on it. Oh, it's so nice and smooth. Everything is nice and smooth. You know, there's no backlash on the focusing. Pentax, they really know how to make stuff. You know, they were a third banana, but they were, and people mocked them during the day for some reason. I don't know why. It's like a Canon guys and Nikon guys all decided to dump on Pentax, and they made a lot of good optics. Excellent optics, and this is one of them. I say go get one. Let's look at some pictures and you decide yourself. So this is the famous neon tattoo sign that I use as a reference picture. I'm going somewhere, I drive by it, I take a picture. So I went to Motown East, which is also Morristown, and I got there around a little before 7 o'clock on August morning, and there was quite a bit of pedestrian traffic, which surprised me. It was a really nice day. It wasn't hot, wasn't cold, wasn't rainy, so there's that. And this lens really did a great job, really did a great job. It's sharp, it's contrasty, it's doesn't lend any extra color renditioning to it. So it's just like the lens in the camera. Should the lens be transparent? I guess so. So I ran it through its paces, f3.5, 105, a couple of in-betweeners. And the usual places, like this pizza joint still there, believe it or not. And then there's some clothes store, and I haven't been there in a while, and I see they changed their display. I mean, it's a mannequin, you know, the mannequins don't get embarrassed, do they? And then, you know, they got the mixture of old and new buildings, and how long is the old building going to be there before it gets knocked down and they put up a new one. So I'm taking pictures and trying to record that. There's some weird clouds that morning. I gotta admit that there were some really, really weird, strange clouds that morning. So I said, that's good. Nice backdrop. So the Grand Cafe's been there for as long as I can remember. There's the Golden Dome in the background. Looks like Grand Cafe may be due for a paint job pretty soon. It's too expensive for me, I can never go in. This is the dome of the court building with these weird clouds in the background. This is a B picture. Look at that. That's nice. That's really nice. Nice and sharp, you know, detail. I took a number of pictures because the clouds were just so weird. And here's the justice is holding the scales and the sword there. Here's a close-up of the justice with her scales and sword. Although she's not blind, it looks like she's not wearing a blindfold. This is some bank logo on a wall. I just took a picture of it. More pictures of the court. Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm testing this lens out, and there's a lot of detail on this, and that's why I'm taking these pictures. You can see it does a great job. Of course, it's at f8 and f11. It should be good. It should be really good. Weird clouds. This is the church that was across the street. Then I walked around the block, and there's this building, which is an old building, and there's a super modern cube in the background. Yeah, and here's a weird front house mirror reflections in the building, and that lamppost is being lit by the sun. I can't get over this building. You know, this building reflects and refracts the light. This bicycle's been hanging there for as long as I can remember. So I opened up the f5.6 just so I could get some bokeh of everything else. More modern cubes. Now these cubes, when I say modern, they might be 20 or 30 years old, but they're still more modern than a lot of the buildings that rinky think 100, 150 years old. And of course, they did put up some more modern buildings. There's always strange detail. This building's used to be a department store and it's been closed for as long as I can remember. I don't understand why they don't turn it into something else. This is the building across the street from the building we were just looking at. Yeah, all the buildings, windows, they all wore reflections, which is pretty cool. So this one area has all cubes around it, and then they have a big plaza. And this came out really good. I like this picture. Yeah, when you go early in the morning, there's no traffic, so you don't have to worry about cars getting in your pictures. Notice there's a flare ball almost in dead center there. I could see like if a bunch of performers maybe getting some cutout figures on sticks and performing a shadow play on that wall. That would be a good thing to do. Now this building, which is the abandoned department store, had these weird details about revolutionary guys from early American history. So I'll probably be doing a study of them soon one day. I don't get it. The clouds are just tripping me out. There are all these weird puffy clouds with these patterns in them. Here's some squirrel. He was moving pretty quick. I didn't get a chance to focus, so I had no close-up on him. So there's some uses for autofocus, that's for sure. So there's these old, I like these old churches. They look like fortresses. And this is looking at a different phase angle, you know, for you look at one direction, another direction, and it looks totally different. And then there's the South Street. It has all these older buildings on it. Some of them have been renovated. Some of them are newer. The United Methodist Church. That's Green Pond Conglomerate, those rocks it was made out of. Motown East. It's Morristown, but you could say Motown for short, which is more accurate than, say, Detroit, which has nothing to do with it. It used to be called Motor City, and they contracted it to Motown. But Morristown is really Motown in my mind. It looks like they painted this tavern, this pub, and this is the sushi place across the street. The mirrors are supposed to be bubbles, I guess. Close-up of the pub. Yeah, they definitely painted it, looks like to me. Nice lens, has really good detail, excellent color, you know, very contrasty. I must have got a really super outstanding copy. This is another reference picture, this plaque. This is the lady, I don't know if she's Death or Glory or something. And then here's all the guys marching to war. How many came back, you know? I don't know what to think about war. I don't want to get mixed up in it. Here's another church that looks like a fortress. Weird clouds. This is all copper steeple, I guess. They got a rooster on top, their windmill. I don't know, the sky was just so weird. It was changing so rapidly. You wait 5 minutes and the clouds would totally change. So I guess that's great. You're going to take pictures of buildings. You also want the blue sky with no detail in it. Another church. I like this church. It's a very fancy church. Look at his door.
Another built like a fortress. The door is open. I guess I could have went in, but I'm a sinner. What if I get struck dead? But then Jesus is supposed to be a forgiving God. All right, we're all sinners. Uh, yeah, this is a detail of the sculpturing above the doorway. This is a door adjacent to that. You know, depending on which way you're looking and how close to the sun you are, the clouds take on this different look. They were all dramatic, though, I'll admit that. And this is that the copper tower with the bird from, I walked around the block and I was much closer. Nice detail, really, really nice detail. And this is shot down the street over a parking lot. Maybe someday they'll put up a big building and you won't get that view anymore. Here's some shop, some lingerie shop. This is a nice lens. You should really get one.